Okay. And in terms of university, I suppose, just thinking globally from, in the USA and colleges, we're obviously seeing some very concerning scenes going on. But locally at our universities, and obviously thinking about, some of our alumni that are already at university, some of them are about to embark on their first journey into university. Obviously there's been COVID, so there's been a lot of online, whereas, traditionally you were there all the time. Again, advice, thoughts and guidance on what students should do when they're on campus. How do they handle this situation? Because online is very different to in person.
Yeah. Look, it's very hard. Being at university as a young Jew is a difficult thing. It was difficult in my time. I went to university during the time of the Second Intifada, which was a time of mass trauma for the Jewish people, compounded by the sort of protests that we saw. Tens of thousands of people in the city, non-stop demonstrations at university campuses, not dissimilar to what we're facing now. Many young Jews go to campus with no desire and no interest in being a foot soldier for Israel. They're going there to learn and to have a social experience and, immerse themselves in student life. But I suppose this comes down to identity. And some will look at the hatred and will want to turn away from their Jewish identity, hide it, side with their oppressors. And others will become fortified in their sense of self and more determined to advocate. And so this all is determined by the personality of the individual and the strength of their identity. And that identity is shaped by us as parents and educators and a community. And that is our job. That's what we have to do.
And from a government funding perspective, are there any discussions or thoughts around, changing that? If universities and particularly professors are being anti-Semitic, are there any talks of anything happening to manage that?
We've been working with the campuses at many levels for a very long time to try to impact on what's happening, both prior to October 7 and certainly since. And even something as basic as the adoption of a universal definition of anti-Semitism, so that they can, a non-binding definition, so they can better understand anti-Semitism and then formulate policies to address it. We have been met with organized opposition every step of the way. We've found it extraordinarily difficult to achieve this. But we've had certain successes at certain universities, including UNSW, and we will keep fighting. We'll keep fighting, but it's difficult. Our students feel besieged. The impact of those outside the university to impact the university space itself is limited as well. But this is where, as I said, across all sectors where Jews have influence, we need to bring that influence to bear, whether it's through the academics that are on campus, donors, other contributors to universities in various forms. There needs to be a price to be paid for being an anti-Semite, and that's what has to be done now.
And specifically, you mentioned there was an example at New South Wales Uni. Are you happy to share what that was about?
Yeah, so, we've been engaging with UNSW and other universities for a long time to alert them to what's happening, to alert them to how Jewish students are feeling, the sort of activism that is happening, particularly since October 7, those atrocities, and a lot of academics inciting further hatred against the Jewish student population. And we've had a pledge that the IHRA definition will be adopted as policy in the new year, which is a welcome thing. There are many good people at universities, at VC level, academics, who don't want this, who don't want to see a segment of their student population marginalized in this way. They don't want to see an escalation to the point that we have the sort of shame and disgrace that we've seen at US university campuses with all the consequences. Students choosing not to go there, donors choosing to pull their money out. No one wants that sort of thing. It's now playing out in the arts sector, for example, in Australia as well. So it's a question of integrity, and will the decent people, and there are plenty, stand up to this scourge and stand up for the integrity and the future of their institutions? Because the way the political war in Israel is